No, back 30 years ago it was completely bare. This was historically this is about 35 hectares of an 80 hectare paddock, and my father will talk about cropping the whole 80 hectares fence to fence and harvesting 12 bag crops. This would have been in the 50s and the 60s.
Yep.
And then from about the 60s, this particular site went heavily saline, and it was actually totally bare. There was just nothing here except bare earth. And through observing Clive Malcolm and some of his trial sites, which looked very promising, we thought we'd try and establish some blue bush on this site. So we hand collected some seed and sowed it in a conventional drill combine with a bit of fertiliser and a bit of barley, and then it's been propagating, and within 2 years we've been able to graze it every autumn.
Yep. And what sort of grazings have you been able to put in here in this?
Well, we have run 1,500 sheep on this 35 hectares for about 6 weeks in the autumn, and by then there's nothing left. We graze it right down to just sticks, so there's nothing there. And if it hasn't rained, we might keep them here, and it becomes a feedlot then until we can have better established pastures on the rest of the farm. So sometimes, we've run nearly 50 sheep to the hectare for about 5 or 6 weeks in the autumn.
And how have they gone on that? How have they performed?
By the 4th, 5th week, some of them are noticeably losing a little bit of condition, but not enough to be alarmed by. Hence, by the 6th or 7th week, we've started supplementary feeding them. But they've gone that 5 or 6 weeks and maybe lost 2 or 3 kilos. There have been trials on this site where 45 kilo lambs have been gone on at a very high stocking rate, and they've dropped down to about a 39 kilo. So they've lost 4 or 5, 6 kilos over 6 weeks, but that's fine.
What would have been the alternative?
For us, the big advantage for us having them here and grazing them in autumn is it allows our more conventional pastures to get established when we get our first opening rains. So the alternative would have been the sheep would have been out there competing with those establishing pastures, and we would have lost a very large dense plant density of our conventional winter pastures.
So in terms of that condition they lost, did you get a feel for how long it took them to get that back on again once they were back out?
Within 6 weeks they were back. Once we got them back onto good feed, and these were with dry sheep, generally hoggets, which is generally the animal that we prefer to use on our salt pastures. The young dry sheep. We have a few other larger paddocks where we have set stocked ewes and lambs from June through till lambing in July, and then right through to August, and that's been fine. They've been fine, but at a much lower grazing rate, maybe only 3 or 4 sheep to the hectare.